Welcome to Clean Plates, where every bite tells a story. I'm Brian Romaine, joining you on a culinary journey to understand the whys behind our diets and desires. I'm Brian Romaine, joining you on a culinary journey to understand the whys behind our diets and desires. Joining me today is Matt Lupi. Matt, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you for having me.
No, of course. I appreciate your time. So Matt is a coach in Austin, Texas. He actually has a spot at the Kollective with a K out in Austin. And he also spends his free time doing a lot of other fitness activities. He just got done with doing the 75 hard. For anybody that doesn't know, Matt, what is the 75 hard?
Yeah, so it's 2 workouts a day, both being at least 45 minutes. One has to be outside. You have to follow a meal plan, so whatever clean diet you want. No cheat meals, no alcohol, a gallon of water every day, 10 pages of a nonfiction book. Take a progress picture. I think that's about it. But yeah, all of that for 75 days in a row.
Absolutely. And this is not your first time doing it. From I understand, this is your fourth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 4th time and 3rd time completing it. My first time was not successful.
Absolutely. Yeah. Your fourth attempt, but yeah, 3 out of 4. So that's still pretty good. I mean, to be honest with you, that's a compound of 300 days. So, I mean, that means that for a year of your life, almost, you have taken these times out of 75 days and you've blocked them off. And, you know, that's something you should be proud of yourself for. And it seems that you continue to practice these things as a coach, as well as you balance it, because I was talking to you on the phone a few weeks ago when I was in Florida, and you were explaining to me that you kind of follow now a more 85-15 type of rule. So how do you balance that with your lifestyle?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and I like to stress this to my clients as well, is like you still have to enjoy life. It's really impossible to be perfect all the time.
I love that.
Where I see a lot of people fail is they want to go 100% all in on one thing. But what happens when you miss one day is now you get discouraged. You think you're not capable of achieving that goal, and you never go back to what those habits were. We've all got into a rut where we start a morning routine with 10 different things because you hear on a podcast, you read in a book of the perfect morning routine. You might do it for 1 or 2 days, and a third day, whether you sleep in or you don't want to do the meditation or the reading, all of a sudden you trip up. The 4th day, you're not going to do anything. So I like to say, you know, if you're good 85 to 90% of the time, that's going to be way more sustainable long term. And you're going to outlast everyone who's on the same track. Someone who wants to get physically fit, I'll take my approach of, hey, maybe I'm not working out every single day. Maybe I'm not eating clean every single meal, but 85 to 90% of the time I'm crushing it. I can do that for years. Whereas someone who's going all in 100%, that's for a season of their life, whether it's a couple weeks, couple months, maybe a couple of years. I'm in this for the long game.
No, I really like that because it teaches people kind of like to get out of the psychotic, you know, the brain work, because I feel like a lot of people trip themselves up or go through a lot of these mental gymnastics and thinking that they have to give up everything they've already tasted, everything that's already enjoyable, everything that they've already had, that people keep cutting down these. Like, I love that post that you made where it's clipping every single person that is just saying that you can't have this, you can't have that. And it teaches people to stop worrying so much, because I think there's a lot of fear mongering that a lot of influencers will use, that kind of hook, line, problem solve resolution. And it works if you're able to, you know, go to a nutritionist or a special functional diet, you know, a doctor who's going to tell you, hey, you know, we've actually done extensive tests now on your gut, and this is what we found out you should be eating. But that's the problem, is that long ago, when everybody was young, no doctor ever was like, hey, you know, we should see how your gut is doing as you age. You know, that's a very like low I don't know what the word would be as far as not paid attention to in, functional nutrition. And we've just kind of gotten away with that as opposed to like, oh, well, you feel this way, take this pill.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, you feel this way, you should just be eating more grains and fruits. And like, people are just so blase with their information. How do you handle that? Like as a human being that is a client or was once a client and now is a coach, how do you tell your clients, like, besides like just the normalcy of things, if they're trying to be as strict as it gets or just try to like ease into things? Do you do both approaches?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just simplify it as best as possible. Like when you come down to nutrition, which you're referring to, we normally eat the same meals every single week. Like if you really think about like what are the 5 things I eat, that's probably going to be like 90% of your diet. Whether it's like a breakfast you make every day, a couple options for lunch and dinner. If you can like really fine tune those, that's going to make a massive change in your health. And the problem I have with our, society today and the social media about nutrition is people make it way too complicated. Like someone I follow, Paul Saladino, I think he's awesome. He has great content and he spreads a lot of information. But if you watch his videos as someone who has no background in nutrition and health, and he's talking about phytic acid and canola oil and hydrogen water and organic fruit, you might be like, I have no idea what this dude's talking about. I don't know what's good, what's bad. I'm just overwhelmed. I'm not going to take any action. So it's like, how can we simplify showing you, hey, here's a few small tweaks you can make. If you can master those, then let's get into some bigger changes, because then you're able to, like with the habits, once you do something consistently, you can now do a little bit more. In fitness as well, I'd rather someone pick like 5-6 movements, do those very well, master them. That's going to be more beneficial, like pull-ups, for example. If I have a client who wants to get stronger and pull-ups are a good exercise to prescribe them, I'd rather you get super good at pull-ups and we can play with variations and weights and different things, rather than saying, hey, today we're going to do lat pull down and cable row and dumbbell row and bicep curl and all these different things. And then the next week, I'm giving you a lat pull down variation. I'm doing barbell supinated row. Like, I'd rather just get really good at the basics. And once you can master those, not only you're going to make massive change in your physique and your health, but also you're going to have better capacity to take on more change.
That's a really, really like smart way to approach it, because I think a lot of people get overwhelmed just in general being in the gym, and then it's about nutrition, and then it's about lifestyle change, and all these things start snowballing. And you're right. If you see somebody like Paul Saladino or X, Y, and Z, it's a lot of information to unpack versus just simplifying things to what people like and what people can eat, and then kind of building it off from there. Because you never know if you're going to run into a situation where, somebody just can't handle what you're throwing at them. So you got to go and simplify it. And I like that you do simplify it and you make content that is super digestible and palatable to people who are not only in Austin that you're coaching, but even people like myself who are all the way in Denver. I think the information that you're putting out there is really, really well edited. So I'm sure that you do that yourself. But how you're doing it, it also sounds well, because the audio you're using is like actually using like a Rode mic. So people are going to stay and listen. And you keep building all of this knowledge as well at, because you're only 23.
Correct.
Yeah. So, I mean, dude, like rock on to that, because
Thank you.
it's something that you're starting so early that, I mean, in 20 years alone, you'll only be 43. So that's what I'm saying, is that like, if you're starting now, those decades of compound interest will really start to shine. They already are, but I'm saying like, it's just a wild concept, because I'm 33, but at the same rate, like there is no better time than now to start, even if you're on a journey. I think people get way too caught up in comparison because they're comparing themselves to people who have been on a journey for decades. I mean, even you just made a post recently about just being about 14 or 15, and anybody would be, at that age, like just starting to grow and get into the development of everything. And now at 23, 9 years later, you have shown that with hard work and dedication and that 4-year gap between 18 and then 18 to 22, it's like there, I think it just shows an example of people who can see when you work hard what you can really accomplish.
For sure. And the biggest understanding is like things take time. People are going to come to you all the time and be like, hey, how can I get shredded in 90 days? How can I erase this physical or health issue in 30 days? Like everybody wants a quick fix. And like, that's great. We can make some pretty big changes pretty quickly. However, I posted that transformation video to show people, the body of your dreams takes a long time. And once you continue to get that progress, like there's always another level to it. So understanding that health and fitness and nutrition and wellness is all a journey. It takes a lot of time for everyone, fine tuning what works best for you, getting around mentors and people that are going to help push you and stretch you. Not to say that you should just sit on your ass and hope that things are going to come to you, because you still have to put in the work for it. But with enough hard work and dedication, like that will come over time. So it's just all about like, how can we, everybody likes to say, trust the process. Like you just trust that things are going to come your way. A mentor of mine always says, attack the process. And I really like that because the process signifies that it's going to take time. There's a long journey to this. But if we're attacking rather than trusting, that means we're being intentional every single day. Like I'm nowhere close to where I want to be with my goals. Attacking the process for me is showing up at the gym this morning, coaching a workout. I'm getting my workout in. I'm doing something like this after. That is me putting myself in a position to get better rather than sitting at home all day, manifesting, journaling of the life of my dreams. That has its time and place, but there's sometimes you just got to put in the work.
Very well said, because I mean, I think people forget that like iron sharpens iron, and the hammer, it's all about the hammer, because like you don't see anybody who is able to paint a mural in, one day or if you just started painting little canvases, you're not going to be able to attack an entire brick wall just overnight. It's going to take time for you to be able to understand that space and understand that canvas and be able to grow as an artist with that type of flow. And I think that's the same thing with taking care of yourself, because you can see all the memes and the videos about, we're biohackers. We wear blue light blockers when we're not even supposed to. And we eat liver, and, we're working out 4 times a day. And it's like, ha ha ha. But at the same rate, if you can find, like you said earlier, just different ways to move your body, that's what's the most important thing. Because Dr. Lane Norton talked about this recently that I thought was really interesting on the Diary of a CEO podcast, where he quoted Ethan Suplee, who is an actor from the Remember the Titans and American History X, and famously, from when I was growing up, was around 500 pounds. Like he was not, no joke, like walking weight, like 4 upper 4s. And he was just a giant man and would fluctuate between weight. And then all of a sudden, when I was like in high school, he was on My Name's Earl, and he was like a lot skinnier because he just found ways to lose the weight, but then apparently had put it back on again. And his quote was, "If the house is on fire, just get out of the house. Don't worry about what started the fire."
Mm.
And I think that's really important for anybody who's going through any sort of health transformation, is that if you're unhappy with where you're at, if you don't understand or you don't like the way your body looks in a certain way because of some sort of predisposition, or if you're just honestly out of shape, you are, large in places you don't want to be, or you just don't feel good. I think what people need to focus on is internally what's happening, like emotionally, of course. But then aside from that, go and like seek out the real help, because, honestly, I think it's pretty interesting that when people start partying and getting into that phase of life where you're having a good time all the time, how easy it is for you to score? How much effort do you put into like getting that, I don't know, that adrenaline moment of the drugs or the alcohol or the concert or the club or the human that you're, the crush or whatever it is. But you don't understand that, obviously we're all going to die one day, but doing it more comfortably would probably be a better option than, if you never paid attention to your health or your wellness or, dare I say it, your gut microbiome. And so it's just like, it's interesting because, again, just to reiterate, it's always interesting to me how much effort people put into going out to the bar or the place and being like, yep, this is going to happen. These are my intentions. I'm going to be drinking this much. We're going to be having these appetizers. Everybody's going to be, it's going to be perfect. But it's like, that's not really how the world works. You're just facilitating this sort of matrix to make it happen. So I've kind of realized that doing harder activities and like taking care of myself is actually just as difficult as like finding the best party to go rave at. So like I try to put that same effort into myself, because I used to just, I quit drinking 4 years ago, but man, I used to hit it pretty hard and just, always want to find the next party and after party and keep it going the next day and the next people and the next thing. And so just like taking care of yourself is really important, to the sense that I think people have lost touch with, and we've just lost relationship with our food in general. What would you say to the questionnaire of just in general, because you have a pretty great relationship with food? What do you think about our society and where it's broken off with the relationship with food itself?
I don't think enough people view food as fuel. They use it as a quick fix of dopamine, what's going to taste good, what's going to make me feel good in the moment. But if you look at what is going to fuel my body for performance, not only in the gym or sport you're playing, but also mentally at work, in your relationships, if you understand that the food that you're putting in is literally dictating your energy, how you look, how you show up for yourself and show up for others, it completely changes your perspective on it. So I think not only looking at, like, I don't even count my macros. I rarely track my food. I eat pretty much the same thing every day, so I know where I'm at. But like, we don't need to get into this trap of like, how many calories, how much carbs, how much fats. I track my protein because I think that's the most important one. I think anybody who wants to be tracking, just start with protein. That's really all you need, in my opinion. But we get into these cycles and traps of, what's going to be like the best macros, or you go to Chick-fil-A and try to find a macro friendly meal, but it's still not healthy for you. Like, look at food as fuel for your life, for your performance, for your mental capacity. and everything changes. And once you get a little introduction of, let's say, 30 days of a clean diet, relatively, like I said, 85 to 90%, doing it near perfect, you will see the progress. You'll see the results. You'll feel different. And that progress is pretty addicting. Like, obviously, I'm not perfect. I'll go get fast food here and there. I'll go eat something that I enjoy. But if I know that I'm feeling better, I'm looking different because I'm eating clean, that is very addicting to me. And it's a great addiction to have, because you're literally bettering yourself with the choices you make on a daily basis.
I think it's really important, a few things that you touched upon. One, food is fuel, because I think a lot of people in our community will say it's a tool. And like, that's, you could almost say in a synonym sense that those are the same. But in my opinion, it's almost like you're downgrading it in a sense, because the way that you cook and make food, and when you post about it, I get excited to watch you cook and watch you bust out things, because you're actually showing people recipe for recipe, the macros. You have a really clean way of like putting it on the screen and showing people that this is a simple way that you can achieve a baseline of a good sense of nutrients, and they're dense, as well as, you know, another thing that you said that was really important to me is, you know, of course, everybody every now and again, you're going to have fast food. You know, when I was on the road, I had no choice when we were in the middle of Kansas and Missouri to just get fast food. It's when you're in a a landlocked town, like that's it. You know, that you don't, or whatever they call it, food locked, where it's just a Dairy Queen, a bar, a grocery store, and maybe that's it. And the grocery and the grocery store is still like 40 miles down the road. So you basically have a gas station, a liquor store, and a Dairy Queen. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, but just to touch upon that, even is, it's so wild when people will try to go find, or you see these videos of people being like, yeah, you know, this is my third Flying Dutchman today from Good Times, or, you know, from, you know, Five Guys. But it's like, well, they cooked the burger in seed oils, and then you've got super processed cheese that you're eating on that, and then you're dousing it in Thousand Island dressing with other shit in it. So it's like, you're probably still hawking up like 800 calories. You know, you could be anywhere from 5 to 700 all over the place with just, again, even if you're not counting, it's just one of those things where people don't understand, where they're like, no, this is good for me. This is what I need. And also what you were saying with protein being the most important thing to track, because Mark Bell was talking about this, where I can't remember what the word that he used, but protein is one of those things that satiates you for so long. It fills you up and actually like sustains you. Nutrient, we'll go figure, nutrient wise, like for a long time. So there's a point where people actually start losing weight when they incorporate more protein, because if you're being active and you're incorporating enough protein, that fat is going to start actually turning itself more into, you know, it's actually being used at this point. And then you're not storing all of these extra carbs and sugars and unnecessary calories, to the point where I think we had talked about this over the phone at one point, where if you're sedentary, if you're just not moving all day and you're eating 4,500 calories, you're just like shooting yourself in the foot, because you're just, you know what I mean? So what would you speak to people upon just like getting a balance of, if they're not trying to get overwhelmed with tracking their calories, but where can they, how would people start with protein? Where would you tell them, like with their body weight, or how would you start with that?
Yeah, the best rule of thumb is 1 gram per pound of body weight. So right now I'm sitting around 170 pounds. I am aiming for at least 170 grams of protein a day. I'm normally up around 200 just because I prefer a high protein diet, and the food that I like is very high in protein. So naturally I'll get up there. You can just, like I said, we eat pretty much the same thing on a week to week basis, on a day to day basis. You can look at, okay, what am I eating right now? How many eggs am I eating? How much lean meat am I eating? And you can see, like, I talk to people and I ask that same question, like, hey, what do you eat on a daily basis? And in my mind, I can kind of sense, like, okay, that's this amount of grams, that's this amount of grams. Like, you're 200 pounds and you're consuming 60 grams of protein. Like, we're very far off from where we should be. So my biggest encouragement is, like, understand where you're at right now. And you shouldn't be discouraged because, like, this is a process. Like I said, if you have to add a lot more protein to your diet, I'm going to tell you what are some easy ways you can slightly increase it. So if you have 3 eggs in the morning, add 1 more. There's an extra 6 grams of protein. If you're eating lean meat for dinner, add 4 more ounces. This isn't going to make you like extremely bloated or full, but it's just a little bit more training your body to consume a little bit more protein when you need it the most. The most efficient way to consume protein if you're active is with a high quality whey protein after your workout. Most people aren't doing that, especially like women or people that are overweight, because they think, oh, that's just for the bodybuilders. That's just to get bulky. Absolutely not. So I'm always suggesting, hey, get on a good whey protein source or a grass-fed protein source and consume that right after your workout every single time. If you're not working out, do it at night, do it in the morning, whenever you can get it in. There's 25 grams right there. So I think just taking baby steps, because if I tell someone, hey, you need to add 100 grams of protein to your diet, we're not going to do that in a day. Absolutely not. It comes down to the habits again. You might do it for one day, and the next day, if you only had 40, you're discouraged, you going back to your same habits. So how can we just dial in, hey, let's do a week of adding 30 more grams. Let's see how you feel. If you feel better, let's add a little bit more. Let's show you that this works and show you why we were doing this. That's the biggest thing for me. And like, the quality of protein is also very important, because we're in this trap right now. Like, you go to the grocery store and every single thing has an option that has protein on the box, whether it's a protein waffle or a protein bar or protein cereal now. Like, everybody's having like these high protein options to market to people. And it's genius on their end, because everybody gravitates towards protein. They're like, oh, the gym bro, how can I get more protein? I'm going to eat this waffle. I'm going to eat this cereal. I'm going to eat this processed protein shake. It's not the most bioavailable source of protein. The most bioavailable are animal-based proteins, eggs, lean meats, cheese and dairy, all those things. That is what we need to focus on. So I'm never telling someone, hey, we need to up your protein, so go eat 5 Quest bars. That's just not going to happen. Like, it might say on the label, we have 15 grams of protein. Number one, they're probably lying to you. And number two, it's not the highest quality form of protein. So we're taking baby steps to do it the right way.
This podcast is brought to you by Evo Hemp. Calling all health enthusiasts, are you looking for a natural way to boost your wellness routine? Meet Evo Hemp, the game changer in the world of health and nutrition. Evo Hemp brings you a range of delicious hemp-based products that are as nutritious as they are tasty. From protein bars and snacks to hemp hearts and oils, they have everything you need to nourish your body and support your active lifestyle. Why hemp, you ask? Hemp is a powerhouse of nutrition packed with essential fatty acids, protein, and fiber. It's the perfect addition to your diet, whether you're a fitness fanatic, a busy professional, or just someone who wants to eat better. And there's something special about Evo Hemp. They partner directly with American farmers, ensuring that their products are sustainably grown and of the highest quality. When you choose Evo Hemp, you're not just supporting your health, you're supporting local farmers and sustainable agriculture. Are you ready to elevate your wellness game? Visit evohemp.com and use the promo code PLATES20 to get 20% off your purchase. That's evohemp.com to use the code PLATES20 at checkout for 20% off today. Discover the benefits of hemp and feel the difference with EvoHemp. I think that's really important just to put out there in the universe, because honestly, there's a lot of people that I feel like for the longest time don't realize that a lot of their meals aren't even protein rich. Like there's just a lot of carbs, there's a lot of everything else that they're like, well, no, I mean, like what you're saying, like walk me through a day of what you eat. And then it's like, well, in the morning I had black coffee and that was it. And it was just like, well, first of all, yeah, it's exactly. And it's like, well, first of all, it's like you need to be fueling your body first thing in the morning. Like it wants these, upticks of protein to get the day started. I think a lot of people don't realize why they're so foggy, why their brain isn't working well, why they might have headaches or whatever it is that's, making them feel less of a person or less productive. Is I hear my friend Lauren tell people all the time, because she's a coach as well, is you need to eat more. Like you just need to eat more in general. Like we've gotten away from this other part of the relationship with our food where, intermittent fasting is great. I don't ever knock it if you need it or if you know what you're doing to do it. But I think we've created this sort of like I hate to say it, but it's like, this like anorexic kind of lifestyle or at least like no eating lifestyle where it's like, no, I had fresh air and, oxygenated, hydrogenized water from the temples of Thailand today. Like that's all I had today. Yeah. And I also just feel so blessed. And you just look like you're knocking on death's door. Like you just, it's not good in the sense in the other realm too of like, if this is what we're preaching to people, and then we're also saying, don't move or don't be active because you're not going to be able to lift any weights if you don't eat any food. I mean, it's one thing to have a morning fasted workout and then go and just crush a bunch of food. Because I know plenty of people who are like, look, I can't have anything besides pre-workout and maybe a half a banana before I work out. Like nobody's telling you to eat steak and eggs before you, go and work out. But yeah, it's how do you feel about people just not eating enough?
It's such a big problem. And that goes into highly processed diets because we see the calorie counts on a lot of things we eat that are processed or from a restaurant. And people think they're eating a lot. Like when you're saying this, the first thing that came to mind is when you go to Cheesecake Factory, they have all that, like some menus have calories on there, but I remember very vividly, Cheesecake Factory has their calorie counts on their menu. I believe they still do. I haven't been there in probably over a year, but a meal, like just a standard dinner that I'm going to eat the whole thing when I'm sitting down there, like let's say 1,200 calories. I'm going to the Cheesecake Factory. I'm definitely getting cheesecake after. A basic one is like 600 calories, but if I went the Oreo filled cream, whatever, that's another 1,000 calories. So if I don't have the knowledge that I do, I'm looking at that. I'm like, damn, that's 2,200 calories just at dinner. I can't eat the rest of the day. That's already my calorie count for the day, but that's not the most nutrient rich foods that you can be eating. Your body will naturally tell you to stop eating when you're eating the right foods. If I give you 2 pounds of steak, 6 eggs, a sweet potato, and some fruit and honey, a big quantity of everything, you will not finish it all. Guarantee it. Like the average person will say that, guarantee, because your body will get the nutrients at once. It'll feel full from all the protein, and you're just gonna be like, I'm done. But if I gave you a gallon of ice cream, most people, if you really put your mind to it, you could finish that gallon of ice cream. It's going to be higher in calories than everything else from the former option. but it's just not the same nutrient dense food. So I get so many people that are like, hey, yeah, I'm eating the protein waffles for breakfast. I'm eating this protein bar. Well, look at the calorie count. Like there's hundreds of calories in one little bar. Yeah, no shit. Like you're not going to be full from it, but also it's not like you feel like you're going to be overeating because of the calorie count. So yeah, I like to just say like, hey, let's simplify your diet. Let's eat more clean foods. They're going to be lower in calories, but also you can just eat more of it. And when we don't properly fuel ourselves, we're not going to perform well. But also it just leads into a inhibitor of muscle gain. We're not going to make those gains in the gym. If you ever heard of a reverse diet, someone who's like struggling to lose weight, let's reverse the diet. Let's kick your calories up. Let's increase your protein. And Mind Pump, a great podcast I listen to, whenever they prescribe a reverse diet for someone, they say, lose a scale for a month, put the scale in a closet, don't weigh yourself, just see how you feel, see how you look differently in the mirror by eating more quality foods, more protein, more calories, because you're going to sleep different. You're going to look different. You're going to feel different. Maybe you gain a couple of pounds, but it's not the end of the world because you're going to function at a much higher level. That's the power of eating the proper amount of foods, but also the proper food groups.
Yeah, I mean, dude, absolutely. You nailed it, because like there's a lot of this. I'd say there's a lot more people that are that probably come to you all the time that are like, I want to lose body fat. I just want to lose belly fat. Like I need, like, they just, I think that there's such a stigma in having like certain muscles or a big chest or a six pack. And there's all this behind the scenes, like before social media, obviously, people would watch, people like Arnold or Lou Ferrigno or whatever, and these like Gold's video tapes. But now that there's social media and, you see all these people and all these examples, and again, people just comparing themselves, they don't understand that the people that like really have like true body composition and like are 360 structured, sort of like yourself, it takes so much behind the curtains work, like hard physical work and dedication to going to the place that has the weights and getting up and moving and just doing it. And, thank God there's people like yourself and Jacob Zemmer and Noah Perlow who are like showing people, look, this Chick-fil-A sandwich, this little one right here, this breakfast one, has 1,300 calories in it. But I can show you, if you want to get some Amish raised real chicken from a local source, as local as it gets at least, here's this. I can show you, we can bread it in things like non-GMO, nitrate-free pork rinds because they're lower in calories and things like that. And then we can fry it in chicken schmaltz, which is just chicken fat. And then I went and, supported a local bakery and got some biscuits and cut them in half. And look, like this right here is 650 calories. It's twice the amount of protein, and you have good fats in there because you've fried it in something that isn't some processed, highly, toxic oil that was used for lubricating machinery before we were eating it. So, I mean, I think it's really important what you keep doing for your clients in general, in person, as well as just, the world, because you're putting this content out there and I see that your page is growing. So shout out to you, man. Like big shout out to you. If your clients are ever asking you personally about recommendations in the Austin food scene, do you tell them any like places that they can go out to score some good high protein meals and things that aren't going to be, compromising with seed oils or other things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get to that real quick. I want to, because you've been mentioning my content, I want to just say that the reason I post what I do, if someone follows me and they're seeing like a how to or a voiceover of something, or just even as a simple Instagram story of me working out, the reason I do that, and this is in my Instagram bio, I'm an ordinary dude with extraordinary goals. If you get to know me better, like there is literally nothing special about me. Like I'll be the first to admit, like I'm proud of myself for what I've accomplished and everything, but I was not born the greatest athlete, the smartest kid, the best looking person, the funniest person. Like there's literally nothing extraordinary about me. And if you look at me now, like I'll be honest, like I'm proud of my physique. Like I've worked hard for it. Someone might see me and be like, oh, like I've got before, are you using something? Are you unnatural? So
it's like, dude, you're 23 years old.
Whether that's the conversation, or if it's like just someone thinking like, oh, he has like some magic pill for some magic secret on how to get big and shredded and healthy. No, like there's literally nothing special about me. There's no shortcut to it. I like to show the day to day, the process, because anybody can do this. Anybody can go to the grocery store after they listen to this and pick up better foods. Anybody can get their ass in the gym right now, listen to this podcast, and get better today. Like there's literally no secret to it. Like you just got to do it. And it's more simple than anybody thinks. It just takes time. But to your question, like about like Austin, I'm very grateful for this area because everybody's very like-minded. The companies around here, they know that. So they cater to that like-mindedness with run clubs and events and restaurants that have local foods and everything. I live in a bubble here. I'm fully aware of that. Like I walk down the street, people look like me, people talk like me, act like me, like we're all the same. It's kind of scary. I go home to Pennsylvania and the vibe is just different. Like people aren't as healthy. They're kind of depressed. Like it's just a switch in energy. I went home for like Christmas break. And by the end of my trip, I was just like, I felt like my energy was off. And I get back to Austin immediately, back to normal. So I'm very grateful to be around an environment that promotes so much growth and like-mindedness and health and wellness. Yeah, if someone's like, hey, can I eat out? There's an app and anybody can download this. This is nationwide. It's called Seed Oil Scout. I think it's like $5 or something. Yeah. Everybody should get that. If you don't want to pay like the $5 or whatever it is, you can just start Googling things like what restaurants don't use seed oils around me. So I found a good amount that I've tried and some are pretty damn good. So if someone says like, hey, I work a 9 to 5, I have a lunch break. What should I do if I don't want to meal prep? I'm like, boom, boom, boom. Here's 3 locations. Do this instead of Chipotle. Do this instead of the other local burrito place that isn't going to be healthy for you. And then I'm also, like we talked about at the beginning, like you should enjoy your life. One of my clients yesterday texted me and said, hey, here's what I've been eating. He's like, also a couple of days ago at work, we got lunch catered. We got some subs and like salads. And he's like, I know it's not perfect. Like, I'll try to be better at it. I was like, no, dude, like enjoy your life. Like you shouldn't sacrifice time, quality time with your coworkers, your friends, your family, just because the food isn't perfect. I was like, go for it. You know, it's one meal out of the week, maybe one meal out of the month. Like enjoy yourself. If you want to go get a McDonald's burger, go for it. Just don't make it your crutch. Don't make it your main thing. Like I bet like this weekend is pretty much wide open for me. I'm going to go enjoy time with friends and hang out and do something fun. Maybe I get some ice cream. Oh, well, it's not the end of the world. Like I'm going to be back on track on Monday. So yes, we should try to seek out options that are good for us or go to a farmer's market or shop at a grocery store that has these good foods for us. But, you know, don't make it your life's mission to be perfect because you're just not going to succeed at it. And if you do succeed, you're going to sacrifice so much. Like you're not going to be able to hang out with people or, you know, just be in the right room. So there's always a good balance.
I really like that you've kind of kept that vibe, the whole conversation of just being like, look, like it takes hard work to get here. Like that's a fact of life. But once you get over, I feel like I've kind of gotten to this point too, where, you know, jack to the nines and have all the crazy looking muscles. But that's because I started working out full time last November.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like over a decade of toying around with it, and the last couple of years, I'd go to the gym and maybe do some kettlebell workouts and take a kettlebell into the sauna and like wrap it in a towel and do some,
Nice.
kettlebell workouts, and some Laird Hamilton shit. But it felt like it was cool. But then I remember hearing one of my friends, my buddy Eric Hinman, talk about, if you're not really on like a program at all, you're kind of just, you're just moving with life, which is great. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, don't go all out and like, hire a personal coach. And if you can sustain working out, but like need that kind of direction, which I do need that kind of like, I need you to go over here and you're going to lift this and then we're going to see how it goes. And like, come on, let's go. Like, pick it up. I need that because it helps me stay accountable for showing up for the class, for the coach, for the, week, for the mindset and everything. And so I think it's great because it's teaching people that there has to be a normalcy in taking care of yourself. And once you get over this weird kind of gap with it, where you've done it for a while and it starts to become routine, and then you start like getting these results of like, it doesn't have to be about shedding the weight or getting the next, bulk in your muscle. I just feel better and treat people better because I'm doing these physical activities that are putting me in a state of, I notice when people sit around all day, because I got buddies that their day, oh man, it's my day off, dude. Like, fuck you want me to do? Like, dude, I just worked for 40 hours. So like, I'm going to sit around and play, Call of Duty for 11 hours. And it's just like, whoa. I mean, like, but at the same rate, like, you can't knock it, but you start surrounding yourself with more people who are into this kind of thing, and it just starts being community. And then it's not as weird when you're wanting to go on a walk or a run or a bike ride or just get outside or just go out, sit out and stretch, for God's sake. It's all about, like you said earlier, is finding simple ways to move and really like just find ways that your body wants to move, because I think that people get so scared that working out is going to like help them or something. I don't understand where people are like, yeah, I started doing it and things were great. And then one day I just stopped.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
Yeah.
But, at the same rate, I think that you're definitely doing a really good job by just encouraging people to stay positive about it. And you seem like you have a good grip on like what your clients want, because, obviously you said you went from just being a part of the collective to then being a coach. Mm-hmm. So just walk me through a little quick bit of that journey of where you became from just going to the collective to being a coach.
Yeah. So I've been in Austin for about 2 years. My first year, I came down here after college, goal of just make as much money as possible. Like, I was just kind of like a little bit more immature, didn't really understand like my personal goals. So me and my buddies got into selling solar door to door, solar panels on roofs. And we would every day go out in the Texas heat, knock doors and try to sell deals. And we had a little bit of success. We sold a couple of deals, but it just wasn't sustainable. I hated what I was doing day to day. Did that for several months. And I was just like, I'm done. I can't do this. So I ended up stopping that. And I was just like, hey, I have a ton of free time. I don't know what direction I want to head. I'm not sure what life has in store for me right now. I knew of Kollective. I'd never been there. I knew it was like a great gym. So I just ended up emailing them, just like, hey, I got free time. Like, I'm looking for a job. Do you have any openings, any position? Like, actually, we're hiring someone for our front desk. Come in for an interview. Cool. Interview went well, offered me the position. And I was like, okay, I understand that I am going to be underpaid in this position. I'm going to be working hours and weekends that maybe I don't want to work. But, this is a time for me to sacrifice because it puts me in an environment where awesome gym, nice perk of a free membership, but also really cool people like entrepreneurs, athletes, influencers, people I can learn and grow from. That's the reason I moved to Austin, was to be around people like that. So for about 6 months, that's what I did. And I started networking. I started getting better personally. And I would look at the coaches here. I'm just like, this is much different than a coach at a Crunch Fitness or an LA Fitness, because these people are in shape. They know what they're talking about, and they're training high level people. I'm like, I could do this. Like, there's no doubt in my mind I could do this at a high level and contribute. I've never done it in my life, but I was like, I have so much self-confidence in it. So I went and got my certification before the end of 2023. January, I was just like, hey, can we have a conversation? My manager was like, I've worked in gyms my whole life. Let me try to see if I can help you. Even if it's not here, another gym. Like, let's get you into coaching and see if you enjoy it. Turned into a position at Kollective. I got to stay here, which is an awesome opportunity, and really just growing day by day with it. Like, I do programming for some of our members. I do one-on-one training sessions. I coach a class every Thursday morning. We have community workouts once a month. So last night was actually our community workout, and we had about 60 people come into the building to do a workout. I led a station. Like, it's just so much fun. Like, I have never felt like the fulfillment that I have right now before my life. And like, yeah, maybe right now I don't have the success I want, and I'm still on my journey, but it's so inspiring. The process is so inspiring. Last night I was at the gym till like 10 p.m. I get up at 4 a.m. to prepare for my class this morning. I'm running on fumes, like no sleep. That I love getting full rest of sleep, but also just like, I love what I do. Like, I'm still going to show up for my people. I'm going to still show up as the best version of me as possible. So that's what it's all about, man. Like, I've tried to find that for a while. So
I think that's really cool, just because there's a lot of people who would say that, you got to prioritize this. You got to get 8 hours of sleep plus. You got to do this. You got to biohack that, this. But it just seems like you're in it for the love of the game. You're in it for the grind, and you've done it from the beginning. It's kind of like me when I started washing dishes, just because I knew one day I would be like a sous chef or a head chef. Yeah. And I got to that point and kind of lived that lifestyle for a while and decided to dial it back a little bit. But, not about me. This is about you. So what I'm saying is I think it's cool that you've taken that seed to flower stage. You've watched your progress as you've tilled the land, put the seed in, sown it, watered it, watched it grow and grow and grow and grow. And you're now just at that point where it seems like you got this little baby flower that's super strong, and you're going to watch that thing grow into a whole mess of flowers, a whole bunch of things that you can pick off of, because I only see your trajectory going up. I only see things going in the forward direction for you, because your dedication, your passion, your attention to detail, and your tenacity are things that are going to carry you much farther than I think you could ever imagine.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man, of course. So I have 2 more little fun questions for you, and then we'll wrap things up.
Okay.
So if you could make a meal for a historical figure or someone that is, it doesn't have to be like history like George Washington, but I'm saying like any sort of figure in timeline or a hero of yours, dead or alive, who would you and why?
Okay. So someone I like to look for, like one of my coaches put me through a practice called like find your alter ego. Like, who do you want to be when you step into like a different mode, when you yourself can't handle a hardship or something? And I'll encourage people to go down the rabbit hole and look this person up because he's not very well known. But as a man, his full name I forget exactly, but his nickname is Sola. And Sola was a leader in Rome centuries ago. And basically what happened was he was part of the military. The Roman Empire was crumbling, like it was getting very corrupt. And he was very vocal about his dissatisfaction with how the country was going. And they sent the army after him to kill him and to set an example of, hey, you can't go against us. He slaughtered everyone, like, by himself, single-handedly. And he basically said to the people of Rome, like, hey, I will bring us to prosperity. We will become a great nation together. So everybody rallied behind him. He became the leader. He fixed the entire country. And they said to him after, like, hey, you have lifelong rule over our country if you want it. He said, no, I'm going to go retire on a ranch and I'm going to go live my life. And I think that's so admirable. Like, he didn't want the power. He just wanted things to be better for people. So that's my alter ego, because he's someone that leads by example. He does what's right, looks out for the people around him, and really just goes for it. So I would cook it for him. But yeah, it's just a very cool story. And I would encourage people to look more into him because he's a badass and definitely someone to look up to.
No, that's really cool. That reminds me of this movie that I just watched called Sisu, about this guy who is a Finnish soldier, or an ex-Finnish captain that goes and kills like over 200 Nazis.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's like a whole movie that's based around it, but I highly recommend it because that's where my just came to mind. But really, really crazy movie. And then my second question and final question is, I'm trying to sort of like break the stereotype of how people view what a cheat meal is, because, cheating is such a harsh word, or such a, the vernacular just isn't as palatable. Because I tell people all the time, one of my favorite things in the world is smash burgers and fries. But, if you're going to really go anywhere, 9 times out of 10, they're cooking it in seed oils and they're deep frying it and, some really low quality peanut oil for the fries or something like that. So I've told people, well, I now make tallow fries and make smash burgers with raw cheese and, local buns and, smash them with down into tallow. So I'm cooking it in fat and everything and trying to keep it as 100 as possible. So do you have something that you've discovered that you could be like, oh, wow, now I can like make this protein rich and like I can actually like stand with my macros and everything like that, but not have to sacrifice it on my 15 side, more of my 85 side?
Yeah, I'm definitely a breakfast guy. I love breakfast food and I've always been that way. So I like to eat a big breakfast. That's always been huge for me. I love a good like breakfast sandwich or breakfast bagel. I'm from the Northeast, so like Philly, New York, Jersey, like breakfast bagels are phenomenal in those areas. So that's kind of like what I've been around for a while, but they're not the greatest things for you. So what I do now, like my breakfast every morning, I do 4 pasture raised eggs, 4 ounces of grass-fed beef, an avocado, sourdough bread, grass-fed butter. And I throw it all into a bowl and then I just smash it onto the sourdough and eat it like a sandwich would.
Oh my God.
So it tastes very good. Gives me like that sense of like I'm getting a breakfast bagel from the local shop in Philly, but it's a lot healthier.
Dude, that's so cool. Yeah, because my girlfriend's from Pennsylvania, and so she understands that whole concept as well. I'm going to have to tell her because we've got a loaf of sourdough that is literally ready to bake right now. Yeah. But yeah, we just got our starter going about a week or so ago, and now we're at the point with feeding it and getting to enough starter that we were able to make our first loaf and then feed it again to start the second one. But yeah, it's really, really cool. Like that's such an awesome concept to hear about, because I love breakfast too. And yeah, lately I've been kind of eating the same thing for a while where I'll eat pasture raised eggs and nitrate free turkey bacon and just like, kind of keep it simple like that. But shoot, adding an avocado and then like the good fats right there. And then sourdough bread. Some people argue it like Saladino, but I still think it's the best bread if you're going to have bread.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to have any bread, just do it because you're making it yourself. It's like at the end of the day, you can go buy it at a local bakery 100%, but it's actually way cheaper and more sustainable just to make it yourself. And it's super fun. So I think that's awesome.
And I put a lot of salt on it too. I love salt.
Oh, you do, dude. Redmond salt all day, man. There's for me personally, there is no better salt than Redmond's.
I agree.
Well, then, Matt, I really appreciate you taking your time to sit down with me and just kind of talk to me about things that you're, opinionated on with our food system, as well as, being a coach and just an Austinian or an Austinite. I don't know how they
Austinite,
pronounce. Yeah. Well, yeah, I can't wait to come out to Austin really soon. I'm planning a trip to come see you, to come see Harry and Brett.
Awesome.
And have you met Dominic Fusco? Do you know who Dominic
that's
is?
my boy.
All right, cool. Because I think we should get you involved in some of the full circle events that they're doing in Austin. I'm going to get you connected with my buddies, Bobby and Sean, who are like my good buddies that Bobby is here in Denver with me doing our full circle events. And then Sean does all the other remote stuff. But yeah, Dom is our homie. We love Dom. He's such a kind soul with a heart of gold and just such a sweet person.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely going to get you connected with them, man. But
awesome.
Dude, again, thank you so much for your time today, bud.
Of course. Thank you for having me. And everybody make sure you subscribe.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, speaking of which, where can people find you and the content that you produce, as well as things that you do at the Kollective?
Oh, thank you. So best place to find me is on Instagram. It's Matt_Lupi. That's Lupi. I do online coaching, always responsive to DMs if anyone's interested in having a conversation, or if I can just help you, give you a piece of advice, shoot me a DM. More than happy to connect. That's where most of my content is.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, again, and then let me know if you're ever out here in Denver, because I'd love to do this again sometime. And I'm actually going to be from here on out doing a lot more in-person interviews. So I can't wait to have you come out here, and I can't wait to get out there.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it.
Heck yeah. Thank you for joining me today on our flavorful journey here at Clean Plates. If you enjoyed our exploration into the world of food and the stories behind our eating habits, be sure to subscribe where you get your podcasts. And don't forget to share your own food stories on my personal page at Brian Waterleaf or the Clean Plates podcast page on Instagram. And remember, every plate has a story, and we are here to discover them together. So stay curious, keep exploring, and continue to nurture your relationship with food. I'm Brian Romaine, and until next time, keep your plates clean and your hearts full.